Well, the day finally happened. It's taken... it feels like it's been forever, but we finally got the news a few days ago that Jodie Whittaker is officially confirmed to be leaving Doctor Who, along with the bastard Chris Chibnall. So, oh god, I'm so relieved, and yet I'm so sad, because honestly, I'd say during this point when you hear about this news coming from the showrunners and the star, you're usually either of two minds. You're either very sad because you're going to be losing the Doctor that you've grown to like over a good number of seasons, or you're very curious to see what will bring the future for the story in the series. But honestly, with these last few years, I'm just thoroughly happy. I'm so happy that we've got to this point where we're looking forward to seeing what the next Doctor will bring, because this era so far has just been such a pain to watch. What do you think, mate?
I know what you mean about, like, it's very happy, like, we're all very happy that he's going, which sounds horrible, like, considering, like, it's a person and it's their job. He didn't do a very good job, but yeah, we're very happy that he's leaving and stepping down. But I've heard a bunch of people worried that the next showrunner will also fall into the same traps that the BBC has, like, sort of made them do, like the wokeness and the ticking boxes of the diversity quotas, and not telling good stories in favour of, like, political agendas, or like activism, like the global warming episode, or, like, you know, the racism episode where it's just like, these things are bad, please don't do these things. It's like, well, okay, fair enough, we already sort of knew this, but I am glad that he's going, without it being like a horrible thing to say about him, and also about Jodie leaving, because I haven't liked either of them in the current run. But we still have one season and a bit left to go, so hopefully they've listened to the fans, and because it's been a long time since the last series, because of that, we've taken a while for them to get into the new stuff. So hopefully this next series will be better. But, you know, at least we have the possibility in the future of new and better things.
Yeah, true. I wish I could be as optimistic as you sometimes, because I do want to agree that, oh, maybe this period of time has passed, the people behind the show, they're human at the end of the day, they're people with their own lives, they're people that clearly have an understanding, a basic understanding of criticism, and I'd like to think that they've seen their past few eras and they've thought, it's our last hurrah, or our last year, or we've got a few more episodes to go, how can we make it the best thing possible? But I just do feel like, I feel like everyone in Hollywood, and that this isn't just talking about, you know, the BBC, the actors, the stars, and the showrunners, but this is like Hollywood in general, the entertainment business. I do feel like they're at this point where they
storytelling.
Modern storytelling, sorry. It's just gone into this point where they feel like they need to defend history or make a stand in history, and I just feel like they're not doing that. They're just making themselves look like idiots. And you can look at Star Wars, you can look at Star Trek, you can even look at some certain products from the MCU in the last year, actually, that they're who are sort of going down the same path. But
you need to do better, Senator. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, and a few other things, like, they'll never know what you sacrificed. Bitch, that woman kidnapped children.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, getting sidetracked. I want to be optimistic, but I feel like they're not. and you don't have to look far than what they did with the last season with the Timeless Child arc, because that is such a portrayal of the story of Doctor Who, and it's more just the fact that they chose to do the one thing that you should never do as a showrunner. Even Moffat knew this. Despite all his teasing, despite the implications in certain episodes, like in Listen, he never went out of his way to say, this is the Doctor's origin, this is what he is, this is what he represents. No, the Doctor, again, we already did an episode on this, anyone can watch that episode and get a basic of what we already talked about. But, yeah, what they did with The Timeless Child was such a dishonour to the legacy, and every actor, every showrunner, every cast member, and everyone that kind of loved those 50 plus prior seasons, years, sorry, but yes, every season prior. It was just so frustrating to see them do that. So, yeah, I do feel like they're definitely gonna push forward with that story, and that does seem to be the case, because what they've teased so far is that this next run of episodes, which have been confirmed actually to be now six. It's
only 6 in the series.
Yeah, it's crazy to think we're getting so little episodes now.
We've had a lot of news in the last couple of days about who, and we'll list them off quickly before we go into the specifics. But there's 6 episodes in this run, and apparently this new series 13 of 6 episodes, is just going to be one story told over 6 episodes rather than Monster of the Week. Every episode's individual. This is a short series, a mini series, I guess, of one story, and then there's going to be 3 specials, similar to how they did with David Tennant. How after his 3rd series, there was a couple of special episodes. It's going to be them, and one of them, I'm not sure if it's the last one, but probably won't be the last one. But one of them is going to be a blockbuster level episode for the I think it's for the 60th anniversary of the show, but also for the 100th anniversary of the BBC. And then after that episode, or whichever one it will be, Jodie will regenerate into the 14th Doctor, and Chris will leave. So that's that's the big news. And then there's a couple of other things, like how there's a new sort of cast member in the series, a big cast member. I can't remember his name. He was Grey Worm in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think
he's going to be a sort of recurring character.
I think it's Jacob Anderson. I think that's the actor's name.
Something, yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, and he's going to be, to me, he looks like. I'm kind of excited to see what he's going to be, but to me, he looks like just another Captain Jack. He's cool. He's got a gun. He's got his own ship. Yeah, and we don't know anything about him except for what he looks like and his costume, and he has a ship.
Except the fact that he looks exactly like Killmonger.
Yeah, he's got the hair of Killmonger, and he's got the outfit and stance of Han Solo. So I don't know what he's going to be. If he's going to be, I hope he's going to be a fun character, not a serious character. Because I can't be bothered with so many we've got to save the day. It's really dangerous. So I want to have a fun hero character like Jack, which I guess is going to be what this is going to be, the Jack of the modern day, because they can't have him back anymore, can they? They can't have John Barrowman back.
Nah.
Because of all the hoo-ha about his
recent escapades
that happened in the past.
Yeah, well, recent escapades. I'd say stuff that's come to light, I guess, in recent months, which is a shame.
Well, the thing is, it isn't stuff that's come to light because everyone's already known about this stuff. It's just now it's being talked about again, and for some reason now everyone's offended by it. So he's not acting anymore essentially on anything because of stuff that happened more than 10 years ago and that was dealt with at that time as well. So, I mean, my opinion is of it is that he's a bit of a silly guy and what he did was inappropriate, sure, but they dealt with it at the time. So to have him completely cancelled on everything is a bit harsh, I think, because I like the guy. He seems like a really genuine, nice guy.
It is frustrating because, again, I do understand certain things in the past can't be looked over. They have to be, they have to feel the repercussions. But at the same time, there were certain levels where I feel like, yeah, that was dealt with. It's not exactly hurting anyone now. Get over it. And it is frustrating because from what was set up, at least implied in his last appearance, you'd think he was going to be the one who would be having a more prominent role in the next season. So I do wonder if maybe Jacob Anderson's character was intentionally written to be the replacement for Jack. But I did hear somewhere that he did.
Might be,
Yeah, but I did hear somewhere that John Barrowman, he did film an episode for this season, but they then cut it out because of the allegations. So they had to film another episode to fill in the slot, I guess. And I don't know, that could be filmed or not.
All of his scenes were refilmed with Jacob Anderson. I think his name. You said he might literally be the stand-in for Jack because he seemed to me that's what he seems like the character's going to be. So you might be right. It might have been Jack was supposed to be in this series, but they had to change it because of the cancellation of John Barrowman as an actor.
It's a shame. It's a shame because again, this is a character that we've loved for years, and yeah, I don't want to get into any more. I don't want to get into any more of it because it's depressing. But I'll say this in regards to Jacob Anderson: I just hope he's an interesting character, and I hope that he's not there just for tick box tixing. I'm forgetting the bloody word, but I just hope the BBC didn't get him there just so they could tick another quota. That's it. Yes. Goddamn me and my English.
Sure, but I hope he's just an interesting character because he's a good actor and he's a really nice guy and he can act. So like, I hope that the reason he was cast isn't because of the colour of his skin, rather than it being his talent. So if it's not a box ticking thing, which I hope it isn't, because he's a good actor, So like, I don't want it to come across as like, oh, this guy's more diverse than a white man, so that's why he's in it. And I hope it's like he's just a good actor. That, like, I don't want people to see it like that, But I just hope like you said, I hope he's a well written character who's really interesting. It is really depending on the writing up to this point, because the guy can act, just whether the writers can write.
Yeah, and so far I would say they've not done the best job with writing either. But yeah, so I guess. Yeah, but yeah, so I guess in summary for the series 13 recent news, we do know we've got 6 episodes and they've got 3 more specials, because the show was originally meant to be 8 episodes, wasn't it?
Yes, I think so. Because it went from 10 down to 8, and now it's down to 6.
Yeah. So I'm wondering now. So they're currently still filming. So they've clearly got at least, I'm assuming, this last special to film, which will be Jodie's last, likely. So I'm wondering now what's going to entail with Series 13, because we do know it's going to be kind of like the classic series. It's going to be like a one big serial, one big storyline going into each episode, which I'm not going to lie, I actually kind of like that. Because we haven't had that in New Who before.
No, exactly. It reminds me of when they, in the Matt Smith era, when they cut a series in half. So like Series 7 was Series 7A and Series 7B. That was different and a bit interesting. I don't know if it worked, but it was something different. But this is very different and a bigger departure. And on that, I think hopefully it will be better written because it works to Chris Chibnall's strengths, because it's similar to how they did with Broadchurch, because Broadchurch was one big story over many episodes, and that was received really well, and people say that was really good. I haven't actually watched it, but apparently it was good. So hopefully, because this is going to be one big episode, hopefully it'll be better written and more to play with Chibnall's strengths.
Yeah, I mean, I have watched Broadchurch, and I can say that is one of Chibnall's best works. And it is such a shame that he ended up fucking up with Doctor Who. So, because I think the guy does know how to write, but I just do feel like he probably just fell into the box ticking trap when he got the BBC gig, and he was too afraid, I guess, to show his chops. Or even then, either that, or he's probably just stupid.
Yeah. Well, I hope not, because he can write. He can write Broadchurch. His previous Doctor Who episodes in the other runs weren't good. They were probably the worst, some of the worst episodes. And then he did Torchwood as well. And Torchwood was received well.
Yeah, he clearly has some talent, and I do remember saying once I liked his episode 42. Granted, I haven't seen it in a good few years, but I can still remember enjoying that episode, and I even remember watching Torchwood and loving it. So I know he does have some level of talent, but I just do feel like he hasn't delivered that with his run. It
seemed to all gone away with when he became showrunner.
But yeah, so I'm just glad that we've got an endpoint for these two, and I just want to reiterate, I do feel sorry for Jodie, because she's not at fault here. She's a very talented actress, and she should have, as the first female actress to be cast in the iconic role of Doctor Who, she should have been given the best. And I do feel like Chibnall has not delivered the best. She is literally just a watered-down version of David Tennant, but with all the worst qualities. Add on some of the very stupid things that they've made her do in the last few seasons. Again, looking at that bloody episode about I'm still socially awkward. I can't talk about your struggles with cancer. It's like, fuck off.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, and
it's like, or like the David Tennant bit where it's like, guns. The Doctor sort of starts on guns, where it's like, guns are bad, don't use them. That literally said that. Guns, never use them. When the fact that they're using a gun doesn't actually matter in the context that she's presenting it.
Yeah, this era has been very weak, and I stand corrected. It's been one of the worst in Who's history, and it's such a shame.
Easily the worst of New Who, I think, easily. Because pick out any other series, you can say that the characters were interesting. Some stories were like better than others, but some were actually enjoyable. And like, undoubtedly, the character of the Doctor has been like an interesting thing to watch in every episode. Like, take Capaldi's era, which has been like slated as probably before Jodie's anyway, was probably slated as the worst, like the sort of decline of Doctor Who. You take any episode of that, say the worst one, say like Kill the Moon, and there's gonna be a really good performance from Peter Capaldi and like an interesting dialogue. Maybe not even in the episode, but like the end of the episode when they're talking, just like having a conversation or an argument. It will be interesting to watch like that. But I don't think anything has been like that in this series, except for like maybe one episode at all. And I just think it's just a shame.
Yeah.
The entire series is bad. Like, and there's no like redeemable aspects necessarily, except for maybe the visuals. But you don't want to watch a Doctor Who episode for the visuals because it's Doctor Who.
Yeah, I think the only episode that sort of got it right, and it was the episode, the Mary Shelley episode, where Jodie actually had a bit more of a snap to her.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's literally the one I'm thinking of. Is that episode, but with that, because it was written by someone else, it wasn't written by Chibnall.
Yeah. So I think I remember reading somewhere that she's actually become a core writer for Series 13. So there's a bit of hope there.
I think she has. Yeah, exactly. Oh, something just quickly I keep remembering and keep forgetting to mention is apparently this series is going to rely on, but like it's going to heavily have cliffhangers. Like there's going to be a cliffhanger probably at the end of every episode, and I don't know if that's like a good thing necessarily, because I think the reason they're going to do that is just to keep people watching every episode rather than to be an interesting bit of the episode. It will just be, what's going to happen next time? Please tune in. Please tune in.
Likely. I mean, it would make sense if they're going to be doing the serials, the episodes in spirit to the classic serials of like the past, where each episode was like, oh my god, what's the Doctor going to do? Oh my god, the companion's in danger.
Zoom in on the Doctor's face.
Yeah. So I think that's reasonable to assume that would fly with the structure at least. But again, it does make sense, but it does seem like a sort of to keep the ratings up move on their behalf. Oh, definitely. And I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna flat out tell you right now. I'm not gonna watch this season. You can if you want, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to sit back and see what the general audience will be like, because I gave them the benefit of the doubt the last 2 seasons, and they burned me. Again, they fucking burned me, my childhood, with the Timeless Children episode. And again, that you might say, oh, that's a bit stupid to say. It's just a show. It is a show. I still have a life. I'm living it, and I'm happy with my life. But there were certain things that we love to enjoy, that have fond memories, and Doctor Who has been that show for me. And to see it go down this path was very heartbreaking for me. And yeah, it's got to that point now where I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time watching this show when I know it's probably not going to benefit me in my entertainment. I've got plenty of other shit to watch.
Sure.
And anime basically right now, which is my go-to thing, because it's the only thing I've watched recently that's actually not been subjected to real life politics. It's actually just been telling good stories, and I'm loving that so far. So I'm going to continue doing that instead of watching a show that has gone out of its way to basically just do everything not entertaining.
But it literally has. It is not entertaining anymore. Like, as much as we love Doctor Who and we want a really good story, it is for children. However, it's not entertaining for children.
Honestly,
I don't see how children can be entertained.
I'd say it's honestly hurtful for children because, again, when they're being this blatant and this very when they're not being smart about it, when they're not telling a good story woven in with the messaging, because again, Doctor Who's always had this stuff ingrained in its lore, and story, but they've always done a good story to accompany it. So even when there has been episodes in the past where it's leaned heavily into, oh, we're talking about this certain figure in politics, they've always had a good story to back it up and make us interested in the story and the character, rather than, hey, that guy reminds me of Donald Trump. Hey, that guy reminds me of Obama. I should root for him.
Trump bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah. So I feel like it's sad and it's very frustrating because, again, for generations watching this era right now, they're gonna grow up thinking this is acceptable. Like, no, watch seasons 1 to 8, 9 as well. Even 10, they are the best at Doctor Who.
I love season 10.
Yeah, they are decent Doctor Who. In some of it, it's the best of Doctor Who. This right now is not Doctor Who at its best. And I feel so sorry for Jodie, and I hope that with this being her last series, I hope she does get more work and does stuff and actually makes a name for herself. Because I do feel like this is definitely going to haunt Whittaker for a long time. And if she doesn't handle it correctly, behind the camera and on screen, I do wonder how her career is going to handle. Because again, you look at half the cast from Star Wars, I can't think of anything they've done recently outside of maybe Oscar Isaac, and that's just because he's got the gig with Dune.
Sure. Yeah, and the thing is about them is, I think John Boyega definitely, but I'm not sure if Daisy Ridley has, or if it's just John Boyega, but he's been actively like, I don't like what they did with my character, and I don't like Disney Star Wars. Like, it's really, like, I think brave of him to say that he didn't like that, which it is a shame for them. It's literally Doctor Who and Star Wars has just had a decline recently, and like it's just sad on the actors because they are decent actors. They've just been given bad things to work on. Yeah.
So I guess I want to close off a few things. So what do you think we're going to get with this series? I mean, what do you think could happen with the Timeless Children storyline? Because there's a few people guessing what could happen. I'd like to get your verdict on it.
I'm not a story writer, and I don't know what they could do based on, that aspect of it. But I hope that what they do is have the Doctor react to the Timeless Child. Like, as much as everyone hates the Timeless Child, and hopefully it gets retconned, that's what a lot of people want to happen, that it gets retconned, or it's just a big misunderstanding, a big
misdirect
employee by the Master, or something, just something that's not, it's told that it's a lie, or something, it's not actually happened. But if they want to go down the route of it is real, have the Doctor react to it, because if they just bring it in as like a big, oh my god, this is what's happened, and then it's never mentioned again, or it's been like, or like in the Resolution, the most recent episode with the Daleks in it, she was like, it doesn't matter, like, it doesn't change me, so let's move on. It's like, well, what's the bloody point in making it a thing if it's not going to be reflected on?
I do stand by my stance that I hate the Timeless Children arc, because again, I already talked about it before in a previous video, so people can go and watch that. But I just do think it betrays the basic story of the Doctor. So I really hope that this is a big misdirect, and they are intentionally going to retcon it. And maybe that was always the plan. Who knows? But I also do feel like they're probably not going to, because again, big heads at BBC probably thought this was the best thing to do ever. But I hope that as this season goes on for the next 6 episodes, I hope they'll gradually reveal more about the Timeless Child, and then they will reveal in the last episode that, oh, you think we were talking about you? No. What idiot told you that? You are not the Timeless Child. It's something else. And I think that would be the best thing to do, because again, not only is that far more interesting, and it gives the Doctor her basic origins back without having to make such a drastically big fuss about it, or at least blatant fuss about it, but at the very least it sets up a potential storyline for the next incarnation to take over with. And again, considering we're approaching the 60th anniversary in 2 years' time, it would make sense to lay some level of groundwork that could either lead into the 60th or even beyond. And I do think
that's a really interesting point, because they could just be leading up to the 60th being a really big Gallifrey returning thing, which they did for the 50th, but this time actually have it return properly. Maybe that's what they could, because the Timeless Child is all about Gallifrey. So hopefully, and the Doctor obviously, but hopefully that is what they do. And I just quickly, I hope it's Jo Martin who's the 14th Doctor, and that she is involved somehow in that.
Me too. So yeah, I think that's the wrap on this discussion, mate. Is there anything you want to bring up?
Yeah, I've just got one more point about the future of Doctor Who. We were all sort of annoyed at Chibnall for having bad writing, and Jodie is probably one of the worst Doctors of modern era. The only thing I have to say about it is that it does seem like they are having fun making it. They all really get on, and they all because I watched the most recent Comic-Con panel, which actually announced all of the information, the news, that most of it anyway, that we've learned recently, and they all seem really as much as I don't like Chibnall's writing and how he has kind of ruined Doctor Who, and in a story wise, but also ratings wise, he has undoubtedly ruined it. He does seem like a nice guy, and he does have, and they all have fun, and they are excited and passionate about what they do. It's just what they do isn't what we want to see. So the only thing I find sort of reassuring about the current run is that they are actually having fun doing it. They all seem like really close friends, and it's nice to see people having fun making what they love doing, and they are proud of what they've done at the moment. If no one else likes it, at least they like it. We hope, and they're not just lying. Yeah, so I hope for the series now that they just have fun doing what they're doing, and that they're proud of it, even if we don't like it. So at least there's that little tiny aspect of it to be happy about, is that they're happy doing what they're doing, even if what they're doing is ruining our favourite franchise. They're having fun doing it. Actually, maybe that's a bad point.
Honestly,
anyway,
I
they feel like genuine people.
I get what you're probably trying to say, and I can. I mean, you have to kind of look at it from that certain angle, because these are people who work together for 10 months every year, who likely hang out more times after filming. So there's going to be a good bond between them. I'd like to think so, because again, for all we know, behind closed doors, Jodie probably was friends with Chibnall, and they might have fallen out in the last few years because of how the show's been received, and maybe it's affected both their relationships or how they view each other in how they've just handled themselves, they've handled the fans, the product in general, and who knows. But again, that could all be bullshit, and they're still best friends, and I hope so too, because there's nothing more better for people when they're working on something to be good friends with them. Again, I look at people who I work with in my workplace. Some of them I know more than others, but there's a genuine understanding and camaraderie with everyone, and it's good. You need that, because that's a good work environment. And I do hope that Chibnall and Jodie and everyone working with together do have good fun with their job. But I think we do have to look at this from the lens of entertainment, which is why it's so sad and difficult, because they do need to be held accountable for when they're doing crap, essentially, when they're doing bad entertainment for their audience. Because at the end of the day, that's always what TV and films have been about, to entertain us. Because for them, it's a job, but for us, we need distractions from our jobs, especially when we have bad days, when we have those days when we can't connect with a certain member of our staff, or when we just have a bad day in general, when we need that level of escape. Let's just watch an episode about a guy flying across space and time in a box fighting pepper pots. We need that bit of entertainment, and when they don't give us that, they might be having fun, but for us, when we don't, you want to voice that. You want to say, I'm not enjoying this, can you please do better? And if you can't do better, please do something about it. Because, again, you look at the sequel trilogy to Star Wars, I'm sure that Oscar Isaac, John Boyega, and Daisy Ridley, they're going to be friends, hopefully, for many years to come, especially when they were part of an experience like Star Wars. But they are always going to have to accept that they were part of a trilogy that no one really was happy about in the end. Many were excited for it, but no one was happy with the final product. So the best thing they can do in this situation is learn from it and choose wisely with better projects in the future, and hope that the people working on them have their interest and the fans' interest. Because that's all about entertainment. You have to know what your audience wants, and when they don't want a certain thing, or when they're not enjoying something that you're making, you have to accept, or not accept defeat, but you have to accept that, okay, so this probably isn't going to work, let's try and work on this to make it the best thing it can be. And if they think the best thing they can be is destroying the foundations of a franchise that's been this big of history, 50 plus years, then I'm sorry, they probably shouldn't have been given the job.
Yeah, it is a different perspective on it. It's just like the fact that they are having fun makes me a bit more positive about the future of the series, because they were talking about the most recent series coming out, so hopefully their passion shows on screen. And I mean, one other quick point from the trailer. I know it was the smallest amount of stuff we got given, but from the trailer, like the stuff that we saw of the Doctor seemed better, I think, than she has been portraying it in the past series. It just seems a bit more like doctory.
I wouldn't know. I don't know. I wouldn't say I was impressed with the trailer. If anything, I'm more concerned because, again, it's just the Doctor being wacky again. Pretty much them teasing Jacob Anderson in the literal 10-second promo and then the 30-second trailer or something or whatever. And what we did see of Dan's new character, he's literally just so far been used as a joke for falling on the floor. I was hoping for something more of substance. And I know it's just a teaser, but for your first debut, teaser for the program for the next season, and I think we don't know if it's going to be released in September, October, or anytime soon, but for the first bit of marketing material, you'd want them to hook us, and I feel like, from my perspective at least, I feel like this is just more of the same, with the Doctor being silly, Yaz just reading something that's probably just going to be plot convenience and not interesting, and Dan is probably just going to be the butt of every joke ever. So far, I would say I'm not impressed with the trailer. Maybe they'll debut another trailer, and that will have more promise.
I hope so.
Let's hope for the best, but I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt yet.
Sure. We can only be. Well, I'm definitely going to, like you said earlier, you're not going to watch this series. I'm definitely going to watch it, because I don't want. What I think has happened with the last couple of series is I haven't watched it and I've been told that it's bad, and I don't like it because of that. And then I watched it and I went into it expecting it to be bad. But with this series, I want to see it firsthand without seeing anyone's reaction to it, because I want to make my own opinions. And then if they line up with everyone else's, then yeah, sure. But if I don't want to go in with a tainted view on it, so I don't want to be like, I'm going to sit back, everyone hates it, I'm going to go into it expecting to hate it. I'd want to go, I'm going in a positive, hopeful way. I'm not going in with high expectations, don't get me wrong, my expectations are very low, but I'm going to go in hoping it's going to be good. And then if it is good, I'll be pleasantly surprised and will be like, oh no, they're leaving after like a really excellent run. Maybe this will be the best series of Doctor Who we've ever had. It's a long shot, but wouldn't it be nice though, like just to think about, like maybe this series is going to be one of the best. I doubt it, but yeah, it'd be nice.
I mean, it would be nice if they got their act together and actually pulled off something great in the last run. But again, you look at the track record of entertainment and how it's been handled because of real life politics, agendas, excuses to make themselves stand out in Hollywood or whatever, and again, and just in general, because they think they're doing the work of, entertainment for whatever. I don't know. It's just, I don't have hope. And again, it's sad to say it, but it's true. I don't have hope for the show, but they could surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, it's very fair to not expect it to be good and to not have hope. That is fair enough. And I'm not going to say, be a bit positive, because from what we've already seen, it probably won't be good. I just hope they do what you said, get their act together. You can only be positive. You can only have a bit of hope.
Yeah. Again, I'm not gonna lie. There is a tiny part of me that still clings to Doctor Who, but again, it's at this point, it's more just I'm waiting out the ride to see how it goes, and if they can save it, if they can save themselves, then I'll gladly jump in and say, and I'll help them get out of this mess. I'll support them. Yeah. But yeah,
I'm definitely watching out of loyalty at this point. Like I'm not watching it to expect it to be good. I'm just watching it because I've watched Doctor Who since it came out in 2005. So I'm gonna just stick with it and hope it gets better.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed.